Hello, everyone, and may God bless us all. You are with Crafts by The Rose, and I am Tina. Please join my channel. Hit the notification bell so you will know each and every time that I have a live or a video for you. Please feel free to comment or ask questions at any time. Well, I'm going to attempt to explain a graft. And I hope that it will be understandable to whomever might need to understand it. A graft is set up in this manner, as the same as this measuring board. Is each square represents a part of the graft. So each square, and you just, when you read a graph, you read from left to right. Each time you want to go to the next row, you go from right to left, and then left to right, and then right to left. That you have to remember which way you start. Each row. So I would, if I was going to mark it with stitch markers, if I was going to mark it with stitch markers, let me get the stitch markers, and I'm going to show you with stitch markers. You would have, I don't have a lot of stitch markers yet. I'm working with what I have. I just have a few. This is what you would have to remember. Maybe if you was going to start, you would start by placing your first stitch mark on the side where you're going to, on your beginning side. So you'll remember where you started at. And I start, that's how you start. And then you would put the next one at this end over here to represent that this is where your next row was at over here, and you put it on the second row. On the second row. So that's the first row. This is the second row right here. This is the second row right here. For the graph part of it, because I added some to this here. This is not the way this was written. I added the border, and I had to count how many squares I wanted. So on this, I did 5 rows up before I even started the graft, and I did 5 squares on this side and 5 on this side, on both sides. Each square where there's a hole at, each square where you see a open space, is a double crochet on this side and a double crochet on a chain 2 and a double crochet. But as you see down here, I had to count and make sure that I skipped 2 double crochets and just made a chain right there. And then I crocheted down into the appropriate space, which was 3 double crochets away from, after I made the 2 chains, that would be the 3rd space. So I would count over 3 to make it a square. So as you go up the pattern, you go from this side, then you go from that side, and then you come up. You gonna come up, and you gonna run into a negative, to a space that doesn't have a chain too. So that's your first place right there. Instead of making a chain 2, you'll fill it in and make 2 double crochets. And in the next space, it wants another 2. In the next one, it wants another 2. And so here it's got 1, 2, 3 blocks that are filled in. Okay, and then you go all the way across till you come to the next place. You have to you come to the next space where you got to put the negative. And on this one, I don't think, I can't see. Okay, here's where you come to the next, where you fill in the block with chain 2. And then you chain 2 this one. No, you fill in with 2 extra double crochets. And then here you just chain 2. And then you fill it in some more all the way over to where it tells you to. So now I'm going to attempt to show you with some objects that I just from around the house. These are representation of double crochets because they're bigger. That's the only reason I picked them for me the double crochets, because I had more of them pegs. Okay, so it takes 4 of these pegs to fill a square. 4. It takes 3 more to fill the next square. And that's how it goes basically all the way across. So when you count it, if you was counting your chains to make this graph, you would count your first space, your first block, you would count 4, and then you add 3, and you'd add 3, and you add 3 to make each block, however many blocks you want it to have. So if I was writing it up on a piece of paper, I would do it in this way. I would say 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 until I got as far along as I needed it to be. Okay? So that is 7, 10, and 13. And that's how many I would make. For go crossways, and then for to make the to make it come up, I would have to chain 3 up here, and then do the same thing. Go all the way back across. But that's, you always chain 3 to make a double crochet. Okay, if I was making if I was making a double crochet, and then I was making 2 chains, and then another double crochet, 2 chains, and another double crochet, 2 chains, and a double crochet, 2 chains and a double crochet. That way I could have a full square. And I would come up and I would, if I wanted it to be a solid, I would say double crochet, double crochet, double crochet there. And then I want it to be open, an open square, I say chain 2, and then I would say double crochet right up over that one. And then I would say chain 2 and double crochet. And your double crochets, in order to make it a graft, some of them have to line up. They have to line up. And either you make them a negative or a positive, or a positive and a negative. Either way you want to count, say this is the, you want to say this is a positive, and this is a negative because it has the empties in it. I mean, it's simple as that. That is how it's done. Okay, so now I'm going to show you again in another way again. Okay, so this is the square. We're going to fill this square. I'm going to hold that one there. And then I'm going to make this whole square, I'm going to put 2 chains. And then I'm going to put a double crochet again. Then I'm going to put 2 chains and another double crochet. Now I'm going to come up over this square and make another square, but I'm going to make it a solid square. And I'm going to put 4 double crochets over the top of that. I'm trying to explain it so that, because some people are visual learners like me. I'm a visual learner, and that's why I can kind of like explain this in this manner, because I suffer from, and it took me some time to learn this. But when I was going to school, you had to learn a graft. You wasn't getting out of some of my teachers' class without learning this. And now I'm glad that I learned it, because it is helping me. It's keeping me where I can make a living for myself. It's the reason why I'm still living today, because I learned some of these little small little things. And it's just, this is a graft. The way this board is set up on a graft. It's set up as a graft. If you ever did a multiplication chart, that is set up on a graph. It's set up on a graph. And so all I can tell you is either you want it open, an open square, or you want a solid square. One or two. You can't get around it. That's what it is. It's just open or not open. And that's the way it is. I hope that this was understandable. If not, please tell me. I will try to explain it in a different mechanism. Maybe I need to do it by but the reason why I don't do some things with the yarn is because I don't want to copyright nobody. I don't want to copyright nobody. And so therefore I try to just, talk and tell and not worry about copyrights. So that's why I use these sticks in order to represent these sticks were representing the chains, and these were representing the double crochets. I don't want to go to jail, and I'm sorry if you all don't understand that. This is something I'm doing because I know other people do it, and they'll be the main person that somebody will say it's all right. They can do it, but me, I don't know if I'll ever get that privilege to be. It's all right. I can do it. So I'm doing it the best way I know how with someone else's work. I did not invent this pattern. I'm just trying to show what I'm talking about to explain it to the best of my knowledge. I it's a math thing. It's all about numbers, and it's all about uh, understanding your math. It's all about understanding 1 plus 1 plus 1. 2 plus 2. I mean, it's all in the same field. If you understand multiplications, this is so easy. Just open your mind and believe that you can do it. And just know that when you go on a graph, you're going to start from this side over here. You're going to start from one side and go all the way to the other side. I mean, and then when you get to the other side, then when you next row up, you're going to start from this side and go all the way to that side. And I mean, that is the concept of it. You go from left to right and right to left, and that's how it's done. I hope that it is understandable the way I explained it. Um, if you have any questions, feel free. Um, and you have been with Crafts by The Rose, and I'm Tina. Please share my channel. Please give this video a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. And happy crafting.